The story so far is this. Have you ever felt like you were sharing your relationship with someone who wasn't even there? Lately, I've been noticing subtle shifts in my boyfriend's behavior. Longer phone calls, more time spent texting, and an unusual enthusiasm when talking about a friend from work. It's left me with a sinking feeling, the kind that whispers unsettling questions late at night. Is it possible for someone to cheat without any physical betrayal? I can't shake the feeling that I'm slowly losing him to someone I've never even met. I'm a 28-year-old woman living in a bustling city, juggling a full-time job in marketing while nurturing a relationship that once felt rock solid. My boyfriend Alex and I have been together for 3 years. We moved in together about a year ago, and up until recently, everything seemed to be progressing naturally. We've always had an open line of communication, which is why the recent changes have thrown me off balance. The first hint of trouble came a couple of months ago when Alex started mentioning a new colleague, Claire. At first, I thought nothing of it. Work friends are normal, and I had no reason to be suspicious. But then came the late-night texts, the laughter at private jokes I wasn't in on, and the sudden need for secrecy surrounding his phone. It was subtle at first, like a small crack in a window pane that slowly spreads. I found myself replaying our conversations, scrutinizing every little thing Alex said about Claire. My initial reaction was confusion mixed with a tinge of jealousy. I felt guilty for doubting him, yet I couldn't ignore the nagging intuition that something was off. As days turned into weeks, my anxiety grew. I started questioning myself, wondering if I was overreacting or if there was truly something to worry about. The whole situation has left me in a state of emotional limbo, caught between the desire to trust Alex and the fear that I might be losing him to someone else. It's a difficult place to be, where every affectionate gesture is scrutinized and every word is dissected for hidden meanings. This is the backdrop to the unsettling story I find myself in. As the weeks went by, the subtle signs I had noticed began to grow more pronounced, like shadows creeping across a sunlit room. Alex's phone became an extension of his hand, and his eyes seemed to light up with each new message. Our evenings, once filled with shared stories and laughter, were now punctuated by the soft glow of his screen and the sporadic chuckles that weren't meant for my ears. I tried to brush it off, telling myself I was overthinking, but then came the curveball that flipped my world upside down. One evening, as I was tidying up our living room, I stumbled across an envelope tucked under the couch. It was a small thing, unassuming, but inside was a handwritten note from Claire. It was nothing overtly romantic, but it was intimate, too intimate. It spoke of gratitude for the late-night talks, and how she felt truly understood by him. My heart sank, and a cold wave of dread washed over me. It wasn't just a friendly note, it was evidence of an emotional bond that should have been reserved for us. This discovery shattered the fragile bubble of denial I had been living in. I felt a surge of emotions, betrayal, anger, and an overwhelming sense of inadequacy. I wanted to confront Alex immediately, but fear held me back. What if I was wrong? What if this was innocent, and I was about to destroy our relationship over a misunderstanding? As the days passed, my stress levels skyrocketed. I found myself questioning everything, our conversations, his actions, my own judgment. I became hyper-aware of his every move, looking for signs, any signs that might confirm or dispel my fears. Our once comfortable home now felt like a battleground where my insecurities and doubts clashed. The tension between us grew, unspoken but palpable. I could see it in the way Alex's gaze would flicker away when I asked about his day, or how he'd change the subject when Claire's name came up. I started to wonder if he felt the distance between us as acutely as I did. It was as if we were both tiptoeing around a fragile truth, afraid of what confronting it might unleash. The emotional toll was immense. I felt trapped in a cycle of suspicion and guilt, second-guessing my instincts and berating myself for not addressing the issue head-on. But each day that passed without confrontation only added to my sense of urgency and desperation. The situation had escalated beyond anything I had anticipated, and I knew I couldn't ignore it any longer. I was caught in the storm's eye, unsure of which way to turn. With the weight of uncertainty bearing down on me, I knew I had to take action. I decided the first step would be talking to Alex. It was a daunting prospect, confronting the one person I feared might be slipping away. I approached him one evening after dinner, choosing my words carefully, hoping to convey my feelings without igniting defensiveness. I expressed my concerns about the changes I'd noticed and how they were affecting me. I tried to be open, honest, and vulnerable, emphasizing the importance of our relationship and how much I valued our trust. To my relief, Alex seemed receptive. He acknowledged my feelings and promised to make an effort to be more present and transparent. For a moment, it felt like a breakthrough, a small crack of light in the clouded skies of my mind. We agreed to set aside more time for each other, to reconnect and rebuild what felt fractured. In an attempt to further cope, I reached out to a close friend for advice. She listened patiently, offering a fresh perspective that helped me see things in a new light. She reminded me of the importance of self-care, encouraging me to focus on my own well-being amidst the chaos. Her words were comforting, a reminder that I wasn't alone in navigating these troubled waters. However, just as I began to feel a semblance of control returning, life threw another curveball our way. Alex's job suddenly required him to travel frequently, a new project that demanded his attention and time away from home. The distance added a new layer of complexity, making it harder to address our issues. The physical separation intensified my insecurities, and the lack of regular face-to-face communication only fueled my anxiety. Despite our efforts to stay connected through calls and messages, I felt the emotional distance widening. It was challenging to maintain our commitment to improved communication when we were miles apart. The lack of immediate, in-person interaction meant that even small misunderstandings could spiral into significant concerns, further testing the fragile peace we had started to build. Every step forward seemed matched by a step back, and I found myself grappling with the frustration of trying to mend a relationship that was being tested by both emotional and physical distances. The situation was becoming increasingly difficult to manage, leaving me to wonder if our efforts would ever be enough to bridge the growing gap between us. The emotional turbulence I've been navigating feels like an unending storm, each wave crashing harder than the last. The uncertainty surrounding Alex and Claire has seeped into every aspect of my life, like ink slowly spreading through water. I find myself constantly distracted at work, my focus shattered by the persistent replay of scenarios in my mind. Simple tasks that once felt routine now seem insurmountable under the weight of my emotional burden. Socially, I've become more withdrawn. The energy to engage with friends and family has dwindled, replaced by an overwhelming sense of isolation. I avoid gatherings where couples are abundant, fearing the painful reminder of what my own relationship used to be. Even when I'm surrounded by others, I feel alone, as if I'm watching life unfold from behind a glass barrier. Unable to fully participate, the few times I have tried to open up about my struggles, I've been met with well-meaning advice that often feels dismissive or simplistic. Just talk it out, they say, not realizing that words, though powerful, sometimes fall short of bridging a chasm built on unspoken fears and doubts. The more I try to articulate my feelings, the more I seem to retreat into myself, caught in a loop of frustration and guilt for not being able to resolve things more decisively. At home, the silence between Alex and me can be deafening. Our conversations have become stilted, stripped of the warmth and ease they once held. I miss the closeness we shared, the comfort of knowing that whatever happened, we faced it together. Now it feels as though there's an invisible barrier between us, one that grows taller and thicker with each passing day. This ongoing struggle has taken a significant toll on my mental health. I grapple with feelings of inadequacy and self-doubt, questioning my worth and ability to maintain a healthy relationship. Sleepless nights have become common, my mind racing with fears of what the future holds. The constant stress and anxiety are like shadows that follow me everywhere, leaving me exhausted and emotionally drained. Internally, I'm torn between hope and resignation. Part of me clings to the possibility of rekindling what we've lost, while another part fears that the damage might be irreparable. It's a delicate balance, trying to hold on to hope while preparing for the possibility of letting go. Each day feels like a test of endurance as I navigate this emotional landscape, searching for a resolution that remains frustratingly out of reach. As I sit alone, the shadows lengthening around me, I find myself at a crossroads I never imagined I'd face. Despite our best efforts to mend the fractures in our relationship, the gap between Alex and me seems insurmountable. It's as if each attempt to reconnect only underscores how far we've drifted apart. I can't help but wonder if we're holding on to something that's already slipped through our fingers. The thought of taking more drastic measures looms larger each day. I've caught myself contemplating the possibility of a breakup, a separation that once felt like an unfathomable loss, now seems like a potential path to peace. The idea of ending what we've built is terrifying, yet the thought of continuing in this limbo is equally daunting. There's a fear that gnaws at me, a fear of what life might look like without Alex. We've shared so much, built a life together, and the thought of unraveling it all feels like tearing out a piece of myself. Yet the prospect of staying locked in this cycle of doubt and distance is equally unbearable. I'm plagued by doubts about whether I'm making the right choice. What if this is just a rough patch, one that could be overcome with more time and patience? What if stepping away only leads to regret? There's a social stigma, too. The whispers of judgment from those who believe in fighting for love at all costs. Emotionally, I'm exhausted, stretched thin by the constant push and pull of hope and despair. Each day feels like a precarious balance, weighing the potential relief of a decision against the fear of its consequences. I find myself paralyzed by the uncertainty of it all, caught between taking a leap into the unknown and clinging to the familiar, however painful it might be. In this moment, I'm faced with a choice that will shape my future. It's a decision that feels both empowering and terrifying, and I'm not sure I'm ready to make it. Yet the ticking of the clock reminds me that time waits for no one, and eventually a path must be chosen. As I look back on this journey, it's hard not to feel a sense of exhaustion mixed with a flicker of hope. I've navigated the stormy seas of doubt and fear, wrestled with the emotional toll of uncertainty, and found myself contemplating a future that once seemed so certain. It's been a tumultuous ride, one that has tested my resilience and forced me to confront the deepest corners of my heart. I find myself at a critical juncture, teetering on the edge of a decision that feels both inevitable and incomprehensible. My emotions are a whirlwind, confusion, sadness, and a faint glimmer of determination swirling together. I've realized that I can't continue in this limbo forever, but the path forward remains obscured by fog. So here I am, reaching out to you, the community, in the hope that your collective wisdom might illuminate the way forward. Have any of you faced a similar situation? How did you navigate the rocky terrain of emotional distance and doubt? What measures helped you find clarity, whether it was in mending the bond or finding the courage to walk away? I'm open to any advice, stories, or perspectives you might be willing to share. Even if there's no definitive answer, sometimes just knowing that others have walked this path can be a comfort in itself. Thank you for listening, for offering a space to voice what has been silently weighing on my heart. Whether I find a solution or simply a bit of solace, I'm grateful for the chance to share my story with you.